Hey guys, so today's video is going to be all about how to write a really good body paragraph. This is where the majority of your score is going to come from, so it's super important you pay attention. All right, so first let's go over some basics. So if you had me last year for English, you kind of know about the ABCs of writing, but if not, that's okay. We're going to go through each one together. So my goal for this is that by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to identify the different parts of a body paragraph. And I'm going to do some color coding, so you'll be able to see the assertion, the backing, the commentary. And so everyone today is going to be able to do this. So, yay. All right, so when we're talking about ABCs, we're first going to talk about the assertion. That's what the A stands for. Your assertion is essentially when you guys make a claim that ties to your thesis statement. It's really important that it ties back to your thesis. So don't have a thesis that says technology is good in schools and then your assertion is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are delicious, because those don't tie together. Then after you do an assertion, you're going to have some backing. That's when you go into the text and you cite some evidence that kind of ties in with the assertion. And then finally, you'll have some commentary, and they on the rubric call this elaboration. That's when you go and you explain this quote and how this quote ties back to the assertion. So it's a lot of your own words. Let's look at an example of an OK ABC paragraph. This one says, the theme of Anthem is freedom. Ayn Rand describes freedom as having the ability to be yourself. On page 97, Rand writes, but I am done with this creed of corruption. This quote illustrates the moment in which the main character finally rejects his previous society. In his previous society, Quality was not able to think for himself. Here in the uncharted forest, he is free both physically and mentally. So you see the assertion first, and then you see how they include their backing. They do a couple of things here. They cite their source. On page 97, Rand writes, right? So I know exactly where information came from, and I know exactly who wrote it. And they use quotation marks around that quote because it is an exact quote. You need to make sure that you do that on the actual FSA writes, or else when they go to grade it, you're going to get a really low score because they're going to say that you plagiarized. So here's our prompt and our source. And I just went through and I kind of highlighted a piece of information that I wanted to use in my body paragraph. And then I went over back to my intro, looked at my intro to make sure I had a good thesis and I was ready to write my body. So remember our introduction says, from a young age, music begins to have a profound impact on our lives. As children, music helps us to remember our ABCs and other foundational pieces of knowledge. As adolescents, music becomes a soundtrack for our daily lives, nudging us to discover who we are and what we stand for. Blah, 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 thesis statement. Although these people may consider it selling out, artists should feel free to license their music to advertisers because the rewards far outweigh the risks. That's our thesis. So now I'm going to write an assertion. I'm going to make a point that's tied to my thesis. I'm going to back it up with evidence, and I'm going to elaborate. So here's my body paragraph. It says, perhaps the most profound evidence in favor of allowing musicians to license their music to advertisers is the loss of revenue musical artists currently face in today's technological world. Jacob Carter writes in his article, The Changing Landscape of the Music Business, that, according to data journalist David McCandless, a signed solo artist would need about 5,478 iTunes downloads of a song per month versus 4,200,000 YouTube streams per month just to make the US minimum wage. With many people moving from purchasing individual songs to more all-inclusive music streaming platforms like Spotify or the aforementioned YouTube, it is exponentially more difficult for artists to make money on the art they are selling. Sure, customers usually pay monthly subscriptions for these music streaming services, and artists do indeed make money every time their song is played. But the amount is so minute that it is more difficult to make money that way than it was when people were paying for music by the song or album. It is the most unfortunate for the smaller, up-and-coming artists, as very few of them are getting over 1 million streams on their music, and therefore making less than minimum wage. With these types of changes putting the artists at a disadvantage to make money, why would we also want to inhibit them from selling their music to advertisers? All right, so when we did the introduction paragraphs, I went through and I kind of color-coded the different parts for you. So I'm going to do the same thing for the body paragraph, so you do see that there's the structure to it. So the assertion, it's tied to the thesis. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that in yellow. We'll do the same colors. The backing I'll do in blue. And then the commentary, when I go and I comment on things, I'm going to do that in pink. So the first sentence that I have, which I love starting with the word perhaps, I don't know why, that's my assertion. I'm giving a reward that outweighs the risk. So it ties to my thesis. The next thing, when I talk about Jacob Carter in this article, that's me pulling from a source. So that's backing. So I'm highlighting that in blue. And then the final thing that I'm going to highlight is the commentary, which is pink. I want you to notice how much of this paragraph is pink, okay? This is how your paragraph should be. Evidence should not be the only thing you include in an essay. An essay should be 80% your words, only 20% someone else's. So think about that when you guys go to write your own body paragraphs on test day.